Welcome to the stage, the great Bert Toplitzky! I look like that? That guy is much better looking than me. I don't know. We really need to have Bald History Month. I think we need to start that. Man. My friend drove out from San Francisco to see this. Anybody drive farther than that? I did. I drove from someplace more complicated to get to here than from San Francisco, Orange County. Anybody else from Orange County? Man, I drove here Orange County, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the 405. 9 lanes in each direction. It's still always crowded, right? I'm driving in traffic, bumper-to-bumper traffic, and I see one guy driving alone in the carpool lane by himself with a sign, "Jesus rides with me." Does that count? Really? Can people really use Jesus to save time in traffic? Really? And I'm Jewish, you know. So as a Jewish person, I'm deeply offended, you know, because I didn't think of it first. So I jumped in the carpool lane. By the way, this is how I jump now. I jumped in the carpool lane, put up my sign in the window, "Moses rides with me." And the freeway split right apart, so... A little about me. I have been through a divorce. This looks like a divorce room. I don't know. I don't know. I've been through a divorce. My ex is Catholic. I'm Jewish. Yeah. We had a traditional Jewish wedding. We charged a cover and a 2-drink minimum. Okay. Somebody knew the punchline, I think, before I was going to get to it. My ex is a doctor, a surgeon. After anybody in the medical field here? Just so you know, if you have a chance to marry a doctor, I would do it. Because if you get a divorce, it's not expensive. It's only a $20 copay. That's it. If you have Blue Cross, that's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. Parents, round of applause for parents today. Yeah. I am a new daddy, everybody. Yeah. Sugar daddy, she just turned 23. Thank you very much. By the way, that joke is 12 years old, okay, just so you know. 12 years old. I'll give you a minute to do the math, right? She hates that joke, right? We did get married, though. And my wife is Vietnamese. And the last time I said that, a guy after a show came up to me and he said, "I love Vietnam." I'm like, oh. He said, "I got a massage there once for $10. And that really upset me. Because I've been married to the woman I love for almost 7 years. And so far, my massage cost $150,000. And that's with the 10% AARP discount. I don't know how he got that price. My wife was okay with the age difference, but that recently changed. This morning, she woke up and said, "What do I get?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, every morning you get to wake up with a younger, beautiful wife." I said, "Yeah, so?" And she said, "I have an old, ugly, bald, out-of-shape husband." Can you believe that? This whole time, she had another husband. Who knew? I'm surprised. Apparently you're not shocked, but I can tell you, I am. Apparently not. Yeah, my wife is Vietnamese. And when we do these shows sometimes, we don't know what kind of show we're going to be doing. There's not always a flyer or a sign. Sometimes we do a show, we find out later what the show is about. Like I recently did a benefit for Stop Asian Hate, which is great, right? The thing is, I didn't know that's what the show was until later I saw the flyer. My face was on the flyer. To stop Asian hate. Does this look like the face that can stop Asian hate? Some people might think I started Asian hate. You know what I mean? But we do need to stop it because, as I mentioned, my wife is Asian and she hates me. So we do need to stop it. Or at least slow it down, or I won't make it through Christmas. So, oh, yeah. But her hate for me is subtle. Okay, I can tell you that. Like when she's talking to her friends and her family on her phone, you know, I can see that they're all pointing and laughing at me. I don't know what they're saying because it's in Vietnamese, you know. So I went back in the room and I Googled the Vietnamese language. And here's what I found out. Maybe you didn't know this. The Vietnamese language, it's 50% French and 50% everything I do wrong, okay? Mixed together. That's the actual origin of the language, right? So there is a big age difference. My wife and I we're on all the socials. She's on Instagram and Twitter. I'm on Social Security. When my wife, we first got married, I sent my wife a marriage request on Facebook. And I don't know if you know this, but if you want to be married on Facebook, you send the request, the marriage request to the other person, and they have to accept it. This whole time, the marriage request I sent to my wife has been pending for 7 years. That's not awkward, right, around the house. I said, honey, when are you going to accept my marriage request on Facebook? And she said, look, watch your tone, or I won't accept your friend request. Okay, so, and now we have neither. I was talking about problems. Like, I do everything I can for my wife. I love to do small things for her. Like, I recently, this morning, I got her a boba tea. You guys know what that is? It's like $8. And with tip, 8.10. I don't know. You know? And the thing is, like, it has no value. Like, so I bought it, and the woman that I bought it from, she didn't say anything. She didn't say, like thank you or anything. So I said thank you to her, right? You know what she said? No problem. Like, of course it's no problem. I gave you money in exchange for something with no value. Is there ever a problem giving money, you know? I guess if you're giving homeless people Bitcoin, that could be a problem right now. By the way, I have no idea what Bitcoin is. I don't know. I recently had my oil changed in my car. Gave the mechanic $80. He didn't say anything, so I said thank you to him. You know what he said? No problem. I'm like, of course it's no problem for you. I gave you $80 for synthetic oil. Fake oil. And then he asked me for a tip. Like, what? And he showed me a place on the credit card receipt where I could leave a tip. Really? Are we tipping mechanics now? Really? What's next? Tipping doctors? You know, like, hey, thanks for the colonoscopy. Here's 10 cents. No. The mechanic said, look, the oil doesn't change itself, you know. So I'm fair. I gave him 20% in crypto. I said, cash that at your local virtual bank. You know what he said? He said, thank you. And I said, no problem. Okay. And on the credit card receipt I wrote, never accept crypto. It never cashes itself. So I have no idea what crypto is. So I have no idea what crypto is. I was talking about problems and therapists and things like that. You know, when we work out some of this material, you know, it's been worked out sometimes as best we can. And there's a little comedy club in a strip mall on Melrose that we try some of the material, but there's a therapist next door that that hates us being there because they could hear us. I'm like, I don't want to hear your problems either. You know what I right? Like we have the same problems, you know. We're just using a microphone, you know. I don't know. You know, I mean, generally, like I don't post or my problems, or I don't talk about my problems. Like from my era, like they have 9/11 deniers and election deniers. I'm a communication denier. Okay, I don't talk about it. I don't talk about it. I don't. If I have a problem, I keep it right here, really low, really low, where a psychologist can't get to it. You know what I mean? But you know who can? A proctologist. He can pop it right out of there. Never just leave the problem alone. I don't disturb my problems with solutions. No. I have a problem. It gets worse, out of control, and eventually unsolvable. But I will die. Problem solved, okay? And now with Medicare, 10% off that. That works very, very well. What problems do I have? Right now I have a little problem. It's a little package. It's a little dog. Anybody? Let's hear it for dog people. Dog people. You know, I'm sure that my wife wanted to love something that had better breath than me. Easier to train than me, you know. And by the way, I don't mean potty train. I always carry one of these. I should have emptied it. No, I don't know. You know, did we talk about getting a dog? No. Did we discuss it at all? No. Communication about something that might live 15 more years? Apparently unnecessary. And by the way, I'm not talking about me. Okay, just 15 minutes. You know. So we got a dog. And my wife named the dog Denim. Based on what he was wearing, like a little denim vest. Should we really be naming things based on, you know, what they're wearing or their outerwear, really? You know? This is my sister, Polly Esther. My brother, Ray on. And my grandmother, Taxiderm. Skin is an outerwear, you know. Look. We stuffed her with sugar-free candy and wax fruit. She'll be around for a while. Look, if you didn't laugh at that, you don't love your grandmother. That's all I have to say about that. The thing is, so we have Denim, but I think we should call him Demon, because anything that eats their own poop is Satan. Would you agree with me? Look, he doesn't do it anymore. But I know he wants to. I know he's thinking about it, looking at it, you know what I mean? I know he wants to. So we took him to the vet, and the vet said, put this powder, it's called Forbid, put this powder on his food, and when he eats it, it'll make his poop taste bad. I'm like, poop doesn't taste bad? And there's something that can make poop taste worse? I might be wrong, but I thought poop was the worst thing you can actually have. Yeah. You know, does Gordon Ramsay know about this powder? I don't know. I don't know if he knows about this powder, but you know who does? My wife. I'm sure she sprinkles some on my food when I'm not looking. I'm sure of it. My wife and I decided to have Denim neutered, right? Because I don't know if you know this, but if you want to have your doggy in doggy daycare, you have to have your dog neutered if it's a male or a female spayed, right? Otherwise, you pretty much have puppy porn, you know, which I would never pay to watch, because there's a window where you can see for free. I mean, it is great though, because you can buy beer, hot dogs, which I think is wrong, and unlimited dog treats. So that's right. Hey, look, don't knock it. I got some pointers myself. I'm like, come on, honey, let's go home and try that at home. What's that back there? But I knew that Denim was upset that we had him neutered, you know, because when he thought I wasn't looking, he gave me the middle paw. So I don't know. He was upset. So the vet gave him 2 vaccines, one for rabies, and the other to keep him from becoming a stand-up comedian, I think, which is... Yeah. The next he's going to be on a flyer like Stop Asian Hate, you know what I mean? My mother My mother passed away not that long ago, and so I did this show for her on her birthday, which is right about now, and this is called Scar Tissue. And last year, on her birthday, we taped Inside Scars. You see the running theme, right? So I'm not sure if this is a tribute or revenge for my mother. I'm just not sure. Before I got married, though, I took my mother to her 67th high school reunion. 67th, right? And on the way there, she said, yeah, because that's a long time, right? And on the way there, she said, I can't wait to see everyone. I'm like, Mom, you're going to be grossly disappointed. You know? Maybe you'd be lucky to see anyone. You know what I mean? Well, she's seeing everyone now. She liked that joke. The reunion was here in Los Angeles, where she grew up, and she lived in Orange County. So while I'm driving her here, she's pointing out landmarks from her youth, you know? Like, that's where I used to live. That's where I used to work. That's where your dad used to lurk. And that's where my gynecologist's office was. I'm like, Mom, that's too much information. And she said, which was funny because I was on birth control, but you came anyway. Oh, so it's a surprise? She said, well, more like a mistake. In 30 seconds, I learned I'm not wanted. My dad's a stalker. And exactly what my mom thinks is funny, you know. So I said, Mom, is there anything else you want me to know? She said, yeah. She said, back then, we couldn't find a babysitter for you, and we had someone from the Manson family watch you. Sure. I said, Mom, the Manson family? Someone yelled out, that's cool. No! It's not cool to have someone from the Manson family be your babysitter, you know. I said, Mom, the Manson family? She said, well, back then, background checks were considered pesky. That's fine. So we get to the reunion, and surprisingly, everyone was not there. 8 people. 7 women, of course, outlive us like crazy. But I knew I was looking old, because 3 women there thought I took him to the prom. The rest swore they had me in history. So I don't know. But I remember I was a hit on the dance floor. Oh, yeah. I scored. I got 2 numbers. Rotary. 3 hard candies. Sugarless. And a death certificate. Fully notarized. So I don't know. Then I looked around at all these nice people, and I thought, wow, maybe I can meet someone, you know? And I won't have to die alone. Or first. So I wrote this book. Some of the stories, by the way, all these stories are true from my life. I wrote this book called It's Not Going to Be Okay. So half the stories last time, half this time. And my wife, you know, she goes, you want to sell more books? She goes, take off your picture. She said, you're scaring the people, to be honest with you, you know, like, you know. She goes, you're not a young model, you know. She's wrong, I'm not an old one either, right? She said, look, maybe if you work out, you'll look younger, you know. Maybe, but not better. This fleshy area above my shoulders called my face can never improve, you know? Oh, my arms might get bigger and my stomach flatter, but this body will have the same thankless job. A totem pole for this. That's why. Now, I'd like a new face, to be honest. I mean, I would like a new face, okay? Harvard is doing face transplants, but that sounds good, but that doesn't include hair, so I'm out. So we do need Bald History Month, so I want to start completely from scratch. Does anybody want to start from scratch? I would like to start from scratch, you know? Now, there's a doctor in Italy that's ready to do a head transplant. This is a true thing. This is a true thing. He had one patient ready to go, but that patient got married and backed out, which proves some people will do anything to avoid a head transplant. Okay. But I read about it, so here's how it works. So if I wanted the head transplant, the doctor would lay me down and then the other body and basically cut off both heads. Yeah. And basically glue on the good one. That's a hell of an arts and crafts project, right? Does Blix know about that? Hobby Lobby? I could see it at your local elementary school, you know, like a project like head transplant sponsored by Elmer's Glue. But there is good news. So after they glue on the good head, they renovate the old head and give it to you as a spare, which is good. Which does prove the two heads are better than one. So, by the way, the cost for this procedure, anybody know? $16 million. And that includes a 10% AAA discount. So I should know. I feel like if I had that procedure and I lived through it, I feel like you know, they handed me the bill, I'd be like, that's not mine, that's his. Give it to him. But you know, that's too extreme. This is too extreme. That's ridiculous, right? So what about this? When I was a kid, I wore a clip-on tie. Anybody wear a clip-on tie? What about, yeah? For a bar mitzvah, a wedding? What about a clip-on head, right? You go to Walmart, you get any head you want. You have a date, you strap on the Brad Pitt. Going to a wedding, the Denzel Washington, you know. Looking for a gift for someone lazy, insensitive, and selfish, the Bert Toplitsky. That's the most popular one, you know. My wife wants me to get the Chris Hemsworth, the Australian actor that plays Thor, you know. Really? I'm gonna get that one? I feel like even if I had that head, she still wouldn't be happy, you know. We'd be getting ready to go out, and she'd be like, really? You're going out like that? Wearing that head with that shirt? That doesn't match at all. Do I have to pick out all your heads? And wash your heads. They are disgusting. And pick up your heads when you're done playing with them. Don't leave them just laying around. This morning I tripped over the Donald Trump. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just transplant my entire butt to where my head is. And my head will be as smooth as an old baby. Which will make me very popular on Bald History Month. Sci-fi crowd I can see, right? Before I met my wife, I went on a special date where I decided to marry anybody but the person on that date. I mean, anybody. I met her on one of those dating apps. I think you guys have like Unhinged, right? Right? Okay. I met her on Match.com, but they should have called it TennisMatch.com because that's what she wanted to do on the date was play tennis. The loser buys dinner at Winner's Choice. Really? Let me ask this. When did dating become an Olympic activity? With gambling? Oh, man. So if I win, okay, I'm going to take her to the Santa Monica Pier. That's cool, right? If she wins, you know where she wants to go? Nobu Sushi Restaurant in Malibu. What? I don't think this is her first racket rodeo. You know what I mean? It's not. Who plays tennis? Round of applause. Okay. So we get to the tennis court. Okay. I immediately pull a muscle, ripping the top off a new can of tennis balls. I'm not athletic. Nobu it is, you know. And just so you know, like I don't have anything against expensive restaurants. You know, it'd be better for me a retirement account. My date was definitely a foodie. I don't know if you know what a foodie is, but that's somebody more interested in food than the person paying for it. That's what it is. So we drive to Nobu, and the valet takes my car, not to park, as collateral. The waiter seats us with an amazing ocean view, gives us menus and asks if we want Perrier or Evian. It's starting. Right? Okay, I ordered tap water, but in code. Like, do you have tap BA? Fossier? Tapion? No such luck. No such luck. I scour the menu for anything affordable, anything. Here it is. Scallop, truffle, chip. What the hell is that? Who cares? It's $7.95. Minimum 2. Oh. My date orders Chilean sea bass, followed by 2 words that make anybody paying for food cringe with fear. Market price. Now, if you know what, I don't know if you know what that is. That's when a committee in the back determines what you'll pay. And I know they're watching me. I know they're watching me. They're like, what do you think we can get out of him? They're like, I don't know. He's sweating pretty bad. But it does look like he can afford expensive chemo, so. $125. Minimum 2. Total bill, $400. And that includes a $100 resort fee. Like, I asked the waiter, what's that for? He said, it's for the ocean view. He said, it's $50 per look. I said, I looked once. He went, minimum 2. I told that story the other night. Some guy came up to me and said, is that story true? I said, look, not exactly. I said, I'll take you and show you. If I ever get my car back. Apparently someone's been to Nobu. We're in Los Angeles, right? We're all in Los Angeles. Has anybody ever been to a red carpet? Like a real red carpet? Round of applause, who's been to a real... Who's been to a fake one? I've been to a fake one. I've been to a fake one. Never been to... So, look, I never get invited to a real red carpet, so I invented my own event. Maybe you've been to it. It's called the Black Ink-Spotted White Carpet Domestic Disaster. That's what it's called. Anybody been to that? Okay. Before I got married, I dated, well, let's call her Roberta, because that's her name. I think about that. Yeah. Now, I got to be careful what I say, because I heard she's a lawyer now, and I don't want to get sued. By the way, does anybody know how many lawyer jokes are out there now? Anybody? There's 3. The rest are true. I don't know that. It's true. It's a fact on that. Roberta was absolutely obsessed with the color white. Everything was white. Her shoes were white. Her clothes were white. Okay? Her curtains were white. Everything about her was white, except for her teeth. Okay. She had white sheets on her bed with little holes for her eyes she could see through. She was a white supremacist, basically. KKK. Roberta, she had this beautiful white parrot, and the parrot would fly around, it would talk, and when it would see me, it would say, hey, you're bald and you're out of shape. You're bald and you're out of shape. It's not nice, I can only think that Roberta knows another bald person, and that person is out of shape. That's all I can think. Roberta's pride and joy, though, was her expensive, imported, hand-woven, 100% white silk carpet, right? So I think it's safe to say in this case that the carpet did match the drapes. That's all I'm saying. Everything's white. Everything's white. So Roberta invited me over on her favorite night of the week. I think you guys call it date night. She calls it laundry night. I don't know. BYOB. Bring your own bleach. That's what I want. So she's in the bathroom getting ready for her special night, right? And I come in and I bring my overnight bag. And so I put my overnight bag, I take off my size 15 shoes and put on fresh black socks. Now, just so you know, I do have big feet. And you know what they say about people with big feet? And it is true. Expensive shoes. That's what I'm saying. So I always keep a pen in my overnight bag. This is my prop. That's it. Take that, Carrot Top. All right. I always keep a pen in my overnight bag in case I want to write more jokes, you know, like I should have done for this bit, but that's it. Somehow, the cap came off the pen. I don't know how. And all of the ink leaked into one of my socks while the sock was in the bag. I didn't know that. Then I put it on, you know. So I'm walking around the house. I did not know it was me. I didn't know. And I look on the expensive carpet and I see all these black spots, you know. And I think the bird must have stepped in ink and is walking and flying around the house. So I'm chasing the bird all around. And then I'm exhausted, you know. And the bird flies over and says, "Hey, you're bald and you're out of shape. You're bald and you're out of shape." Damn bird. He's not wrong, though, you know. Roberta comes out of the bathroom, and on her carpet, she sees the black spots. And I said, the bird did that. Right? She holds out her hand. The bird flies into her hand. There's no ink. She said, "Show me your gigantic size 15 sock." By the way, I said sock with an S. I told this story at a senior center the other day, and I misspoke. They won't have me back. Look, the ink was on my sock, and I said, "Look, you know, this carpet can be replaced. And by the way, so can that chatty bird, you know. And if that bird says you're bald and out of shape one more time, I'm going to cook it and eat it for dinner. So either the bird goes or I go. So I'm packing to go." And the bird flies over and says, "Hey." And I went, "Yeah?" And the bird said, "I took the cap off the pen." True story. Yeah. True story. Now I have a fear of talking birds. By the way, does anyone know what the public's number one fear is? Anybody know what that is? Anybody have an idea? What's number one fear? Everyone says public speaking. That's when there was such a thing called public speaking. There isn't really anymore. It's like number 8. And it's not even fear of death. And you know what number one fear is? The fear of posting something and not getting enough likes. Did you know that? Okay. I don't know. I don't know if that's the actual fear. But it seems like it, right? You know what my number one fear is? Now, I'm not political, and I don't want to divide the room, but here goes, all right? My number one fear is blue cheese dressing. Oh! Who's with me on that? Let's hear it if you're against blue cheese dressing. Who likes blue cheese dressing? Sick people don't like that. It's mold and it's disgusting and it's chunky and it's... When I was 15 years old, my first job, I was a busboy at a fancy restaurant called Guy Fawkes Restaurant. Right? Now the name came from a 1604 gunpowder scandal, where the owner, Mrs. Stockwell, I believe she used that as a special ingredient in her food, along with the powder that makes poop taste worse. That's what I think. Now Mrs. Stockwell was the owner, but her real job was to hate me. I don't know why. I mean, who could hate like a pimply-faced teenager with greasy hair That's right, I had hair. Like that. Oversized glasses and bad vision, you know. Mrs. Stockwell came up to me and she said, take off your glasses. You look like a damn motorcycle rider. I'm like, oh. Now, I took it as a compliment, all right. But round of applause. Anybody worked in a dark restaurant ever? If you work in a dark restaurant, you know one thing you need is vision. You need vision. I couldn't tell if glasses were, water glasses were full or empty. I couldn't tell. I was constantly going up to tables going, it looks like you can use too much water. Would you like it on your food or your clothes? I'm talented. I could do both. I'll be right back with your hot coffee. I also couldn't see if meals were finished, you know. I went up to this one guy and I reached for his plate so many times that he grabbed me and said, if you touch my plate one more time, I'm going to break your arm and twist your neck into a pretzel. Jew boy. No, he didn't say that. I added that for I added that for dramatic effect. But I did make a note. Table 3 is good. Table 3 is good. Mrs. Stockwell came up and she goes, refill the blue cheese dressing. Like, oh, it's gross. It's chunky and mold. And, oh, I don't want to do it. So I went into the gigantic walk-in freezer, you know. And I see all these, like, I think they were like 50-gallon containers everywhere of different kind of dressing and something. The blue cheese dressing was all the way at the top. So I'm climbing this ladder to the blue cheese dressing and I reach to the top and the lid comes loose. And the container falls toward me and there's nothing I can do. And 50 gallons of disgusting, gross, smelly, moldy blue cheese dressing lands on my head and my clothes, permeating permanently my skin, my scalp, and my soul. That's never coming off, you know. Never coming off. Which I believe is why I do this. Okay. I also believe it's why I have no hair. Okay. I believe the blue cheese dressing killed my hair follicles. That's what I think. So I get to the bottom. Mrs. Stockwell is standing there. She goes, go home and change, you idiot. And tell me what any customer wants, and I'll do it myself. I went, table 3 wants his plate removed. Mrs. Stockwell. Fancy restaurant. Who likes fancy restaurants? Round of applause like fancy restaurants. I used to live in a city that had fancy restaurants when my daughter was growing up. I lived in New Orleans. Anybody been to New Orleans? Round of applause. It's a unique city, right? If you don't mind the aroma of stale water and vomit, right? And it is special, though. And not just because it has great jazz and restaurants. It also has murder. It has murder. I think it has one of the highest murder, rates in the whole country, right? But that's not even the problem. This whole city is infested with this gigantic, hairy, rat-like creature with long nails and huge orange teeth. And by the way, I'm not just talking about some of the people that live there. No. I'm talking about something called Nutria rat. Round of applause if you've heard of Nutria rat. Oh, you will. They're in California now. That's true. They're in California. But they just infested New Orleans. And they love to burrow underground and ruin farmland, sewer systems, and party on Bourbon Street. They do all those things. So the city had this idea. They couldn't get rid of them. They had this idea to pay the chefs to catch cook and serve Nutria-Rat to us, right? And they had a name for it. The slogan was, if you can't beat 'em, eat 'em. That's what I And they tried. They tried. The chefs, they made, this is true, they made the Nutria-Rat gumbo. Nutria-Rat fettuccine, like Italian? That sounds good. Nutria-Rat chop suey. Right? Know how to use chopstick? That sounds good. I wonder if the famous New Orleans chef, Emeril Lagasse, remember him? I wonder, remember he was on TV, I wonder if he ever made, cooked this. He was famous for for a couple things. One, for putting seasoning on food and saying, bam, remember that? Yeah. He had the shortest lived sitcom in history. I mean, it was like 3 episodes, it was really bad, It'd be like, here's your Nutria-Rat souffle, bam. Nutty Nutria-Rat vanilla ice cream, bam. Another short-lived sitcom, bam, okay. People still would not eat Nutria-Rat. So the city paid $1 million for a study to find out why people won't eat Nutria-Rat. Turned out it's because of the name Nutria-Rat. That's the problem. Now, look, I'm not a foodie, okay? But I think it's the word rat. Take it out. Take it out. Change the name, It worked for fish. The real name for mahi-mahi? Anybody? Dolphin fish. Yeah. The real name for Chilean sea bass? Patagonian toothfish. Yeah, it's disgusting as it sounds, yeah. And on dates, we all pay market price. Bam. You know who could easily sell Nutria-Rat? Pizza Hut. Turns out people will eat anything if you put it on pizza, right? Right. Oops. We'll eat anything if you put it on pizza. And by the way, it wouldn't even be the grossest thing. You were eating it out there. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay. I'm just kidding. Just some of you at the bottom, only if you came late. That's all I'm saying. And by the way, Nutria wouldn't be the grossest thing anybody ever put on pizza. This is around the world. There's some topics, and some people yelled out, pineapple, no. Cucumber, no, that's not gross. Okay, here's some actual things around the world that are put on pizza right now. Shrimp heads and legs. It gets worse. Crocodile. I didn't hear you say on that. Kangaroo. Reindeer. Squid ink. Nutria-Rat. Nutria. It even sounds nutritious, right? So I went to New Orleans and I bought, I ordered a Nutria-Rat pizza, but I couldn't eat it because you know what was on it? Blue cheese dressing. Right. Can't eat that, right? No one's going to have any more pizza, I don't think. We mentioned murder. Who likes true crime stories? Give it up if you like true crime stories. Like documentaries, right? And podcasts, things like that. Okay, here's something about me. I'm an agent, and I sold a murderer's house. Yeah. I'm a real estate agent, not a talent agent. Okay, that's it. Oh, by the way, this is the only thing I've ever done in my life that my daughter has ever been proud of. Okay, just so you know. And by the way, I did it for the money, not for the likes. Just so you know. Just so you know. So here's what happened. Okay, here's what happened. Here's what I heard happen. They had the husband and wife had a financial dispute. Now it was more than a dispute because he killed her. Here's what I heard happen. I heard that he took a bowling ball or something and hit her over the head. Upstairs in the bathroom, there was a financial dispute. Took a bowling ball and hit her over the head, and that didn't do the job. So he put her in the bathtub and drowned her. Now, I'm not an expert, but I believe That's a spare. Takes 2 times to get the pin stem. I do not condone what happened. I wish it was him that died. But it was a financial dispute, and she may not have agreed to pay my full commission. That's all I'm saying. I remember my mother said, she said, Bert, are you sure? Are you sure you want to represent a murderer, really? I mean, it's immoral and it's, it's unethical. I said, Mom, it's $100,000. She said, disputes happen, So the murderer was awaiting trial, and so he was at home, confined to his home with an ankle monitor, kind of like the one you have. It's similar to that. I've been looking at it. And he wanted to interview me privately to see if I would be the one to sell the house. Would you go to that interview? Yeah, she's like, no, we're not going to. Yeah. Now, I was afraid he might try to kill me, but I was more concerned that he would reduce my commission. That's what I was afraid of. So I'm sitting there with the murderer, making small talk. Have you ever made small talk with a murderer? I'm like, so is this your first murder? Like, subtle, right? And he goes, you mean, and this is all true, he goes, you mean the event? That's what he called it, the event. What, after this, is he going to a Taylor Swift concert? Like what? He said, do you think the event will cause my house to take longer to sell? I said, OJ sold fast. Subtle, right? He jumped up and said, but OJ's famous. I said, calm down, killer. You will be too. Sorry. Sunday's rolling around, and he wants to have an open house with him still in the house. Would you go to that open house? I don't think you would. So the killer, it's true, is in the back making cookies, as murderers will do, silly, silly murderer, So he wants to hold an open house. That's a great idea. While we're at it, why don't we hold a live murder demonstration, a live comedy taping like this, and sell tickets and T-shirts? That's what I'm saying. So a nice lady comes to the front door, and I warn her, of course, to take off her shoes, I don't want her tracking blood outside. I mean, the street sweepers don't come till Wednesday, So she comes in and she says, so, where did it happen? I said, well, what exactly do you mean? She said, the event. Oh. I said, oh, upstairs in the bathroom. She said, oh, so it's a spare. So, well, it is now. I mean, they each had their own bathroom, and she doesn't have one anymore, so I guess it is spare. So the murderer went to jail. I got my commission. And a very lucky buyer has a very popular house on Halloween. So, a little dark or not dark enough? Darker? You want darker? Yeah. Talking about death, Speaking of death, what went out of business recently was a business that we all know and love, and I had recently shopped there. I went shopping and I bought a bed from Bed Bath & Beyond. My life expectation. The saleswoman said, your new bed comes with a 20-year lifetime warranty. Look at me. Take a good look. Does it look like I should own anything with a 20-year warranty? I give myself 20 minutes, not 20 years. That's all right. She said, look, this is the last bed you'll ever need. She's got that right. She's selling me my deathbed. Oh, and she was good. She was good. She goes, this is a great bed for you. She goes, after you die, it automatically folds into a casket. Oh, that's good. And will easily support you after rigor mortis. That's good. And it's guaranteed to make you look thin. Oh, that's good. And she said there's more. It comes with a biodegradable pillow, a coroner's report with a non-embarrassing cause of death. That's good. and a set of white silk and bombing fluid resistant sheets. Fully endorsed by the KKK. I wonder if they know Roberta. I don't know. I walked in to buy a bed, walked out with a combination box spring and open casket. I could see my obituary now, Bert Toplitsky, beloved father, disappointing son, hated ex-husband, survived by his bed. He died alone, but he looked thin. So. I need that. They say you can't take it with you, but I'm taking mine with me. My warranty. It's transferable. So. Bed Bath & Beyond. Finally, I know what the Beyond stands for. Rest in peace, Bed Bath & Beyond, right? I have a daughter. Who has kids? Round of applause if you have kids. My daughter is great. I mean, she's great. Great. As an adult. As a child, terrifying. Okay. People ask me if I recommend children. Really. Have you seen Poltergeist? Have you been on Southwest Airlines? Have you been to Disneyland? I believe that Stephen King is Walt Disney reincarnated. That's what I believe. Yeah. When my daughter was about 4, I took her to the Disney store. They still have those, Disney store? Yeah, of course. Of course, that'll always be there. So she could get like a princess dress, tiara, shoes, and a magic wand. Well, the magic wand was for me. I needed it to pay for the dress, the tiara, and the shoes. It's expensive, right? Expensive. They did her hair, the employees did her hair, they dressed her. She looked like a real princess. She was so happy, We bought everything, and we took it home, and she wanted to sleep in it, It was magical until 3 a.m. And that's when this creepy feeling came over me. And now I know what that creepy feeling is. It's children. They're terrifying at night, or during the day, or any time. Doesn't matter. It's 3 a.m. I wake up, and there she is standing there, eye level, just looking at me, expressionless, not talking, just staring directly at me. I'm like, blink, damn it. Or kill me, do something. I mean, I'm exhausted, Her hair was all knotted, not brushed like before, and it was covering one eye. Her tiara was across her head sideways like this. She had one bare foot, the other foot in a shoe, mine, size 15. Her dress was on completely backwards, with one arm sticking out of the top and the other arm sticking down here. The only thing missing was her holding a machete in the right hand. That's because she was holding her wand in some sort of militant position. Who dressed her in the middle of the night? Satan? Damn you, Walt, Stephen King, Disney. And by the way, that's not even the scary part. The night before, on my phone, I Googled Disney princess accessories for little girls. That's not coming off my search history anytime soon. That's it. We all want our children to be happy and safe, right? But we also want them to, be prepared for the real world. Like, nobody starts out lying to children, and at first it's not even that fun. No. When my daughter was about 4, I promised her I would always be honest with her. That was my first lie, okay? I remember I took her to La Brea Tar Pits. By round of applause, who's been to La Brea Tar Pits? I wanted her to see where dinosaurs roam, Wilshire and 3rd Street Promenade, and right here where you're sitting, right here, right there. I said, honey, you see all of these dinosaurs, right? Sort of like what you see in the Disney movies. Well, they all got stuck in this hot bubbling tar and drowned. Well, that was fun. Let's go get ice cream. With tears in her eyes, she said, Daddy, did the baby dinosaurs die too? I'm like, oh. I said, no, honey. They were light and swam. And they waved goodbye to their parents. Oh. Like you've never lied to children? I'll see you all in tar pit hell, all right? And by the way, tar pit hell is free weekdays 3 to 5, okay? I didn't create lying. I didn't create it. Whoever invented, Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and the words, I love you, they created it. I'm not bitter. When my daughter was about 4, she lost a tooth in Los Angeles. Now, I put it under the pillow for the tooth fairy, right? The next morning, she checked, and I forgot to put the money. There's a therapy session waiting to happen, right? And she cried, Daddy, the tooth fairy didn't come and leave me money. I'm thinking fast, you have to think fast. Like, honey, Los Angeles has a lot of traffic. And your tooth fairy got stuck on the 405. In Los Angeles, when the tooth fairy doesn't come, they come the next day and leave double. And sometimes a guest role on a sitcom, right? So the next morning she checked, there was double. And she's still crying. I said, honey, what's the matter? I thought you'd be happy. She said, Daddy, no script. That's a Los Angeles joke, right? So then I took her to a place where she could see knife throwing, a man sticking the head of a live snake in his mouth, and 2 men chasing people around with actual chainsaws. But Walmart was closed. But there was a Halloween carnival going on in the parking lot. And the biggest scare for me was the cost of winning a damn goldfish for my daughter by trying to toss an overinflated basketball into a shot glass this big. It's never going to happen. So my daughter doesn't know this, but I gave the guy $20 for the fish, okay? Now the guy was missing teeth, and at the time my daughter was missing teeth too. So she looked at him and looked at me and she said, is he my real daddy? I said, no, honey, he has hair. Okay, so we get home, and her fish is floating upside down. And she's crying, Daddy, my fish is dead. It didn't love me. Thinking fast, honey, there's a Disneyland for fish in heaven where your fish will be very, very happy. And she cried even harder. I said, honey, what's the matter? She said, my fish is happier dead than with me. Good point. Okay, good point. So she wanted a formal funeral for her fish. So I flushed it down the toilet. But the fish kept coming up. That's not traumatic for a child, right? And she looked at the fish and she said, Daddy, I don't think my fish can afford Disneyland. Later that night, we had a gigantic family reunion. Kind of like this, but with more ankle monitors. And everybody gathered around. They all wanted to hear what Daddy and Talia did the entire week. They all gathered around. So Talia's like, wow, Daddy took me to the tar pits where all the dinosaurs died. Well, except for the babies, because they were light and swam. She said, I lost a tooth, and the tooth fairy didn't come because she got stuck in traffic. I'm like, oh. And my fish died, and my daddy flushed it down the toilet. But it's okay because my fish likes it better in hell. where my daddy's going for lying to children. Scar tissue complete. Bam. Thank you. So you've heard these stories, and you could probably only come to one conclusion, that I'm an accordion player. I am. But we're an endangered species, just want you to know. And there's a lot of hate in the world, and we need to stop it. You talked about Asian hate, and there's all kinds of hate, But we need to stop it. We need to do it. But there's another kind of hate that we haven't discussed. And I'm going to show it to you right now. Don't worry, I'm not going to strip. We need to stop accordion hate. Right? We need to stop accordion hate. That's right. I'm an endangered species. Like the 3 people around the world that have Microsoft cell phones, I'm rare, Look, we're not a protected class, we're not, but we are a noisy bunch. Okay, so there's just something about the accordion,
Put it on here for you. This is the real thing, folks.
There's just something about the accordion. I get this special feeling when I put one on. And now I know what that feeling is. It's sadness and loneliness. So the right hand plays the melody. And when I add that to the left hand, which is the bass, you know what that gets me? No sex. No sex at all. No sex. When I was young, my parents wanted me to play accordion lessons. I guess they wanted me to have no sex and no friends. I'm not bragging, but my first business out of college, I opened an accordion school. What could go wrong with that, right? Are there really parents around the world right now telling their kids, study hard, get good grades, and you too can go to a good accordion school? Said no parent ever. By the way, 50% of all new businesses close within 2 years. I beat those odds. Within 3 weeks, I was totally out of business. Apparently, you need something called accordion students. And here's the thing. There aren't any, okay? I had a friend who played the ukulele in a band. Women everywhere. I joined an accordion band. You know who followed me? A monkey. A monkey. So I thought, well, I'll just play the accordion in my comedy routine, So I took my accordion to a comedy club, and I left my accordion in the car, and I went in to check with the comedy producer. And when I went back into my car, apparently I left my car door unlocked. Because when I opened it, you know what I found? Another accordion. And a ukulele. And that's it. Thank you guys. Thank you.